Holly. Holly, great job. Sophomore is Gary Johnson, a very physical player. The officials tonight, Ed Hightower is the referee, and the two umpires, Mark Whitehead and Tom Eads. And with the jump, it'll go to the Longhorns.
Well, Baylor will go man-to-man. They'll mix in some zones as well, and it's going to be interesting to see how A.J. Abrams has always played, Ron. That time they switch on to him.
James on the wing, takes it into the middle. Turnaround jumper, not there. Rebounded, Lacedarius Dunn.
When you play Baylor, you must get back in transition because they will shoot the three quickly.
Lomer's handling the ball, number 50 outside. He'll only play about 7.5 minutes per ball game, but they try to utilize his size for the amount of time that he is on the floor. Shot clock is now at 8. And the ball is turned over, rolled it over. Scott Drew, the head basketball coach with the Baylor Bears, 6th season there. You see his winning percentage, has never won against Texas. In fact, Baylor has lost 23 in a row to the Longhorns. Here's Ashley, not there. Mason with the tip.
That's Justin Mason's strength right there. He's a bulldog defensively and a garbage man on the offensive end.
You know that Connor actually wanted that one to go down his final appearance here at the Irwin Special Events Center as a senior. Now in graduate school, which is advertising. Ball almost stolen. 15 seconds on the shot clock, and that is short. Balbe will come up with it.
This is where Doge Balbe is at his best, in transition.
Mason back out on top to James, has a three on the way. And Lomers, who I was just talking about, is fouled by Connor Atchley.
Texas foul charge, number 32.
You see the back of those Baylor jerseys last Saturday against Colorado. They took the names off the back of the jerseys. They had really struggled in Big 12 play, losing 8 of 9. And, of course, they got back to the point where they needed to worry more about that front of the jersey. This is a team run with a lot of guys who think they're scorers. When they're on, they can.
Well, they can rain on you with threes. Dunn.
They'll run a little motion offense, but it usually will turn into some pick and roll action.
Into the middle. Lomer's not ready for it. Gets it back over on the wing, and a turnover against Baylor again. That's 2, as the shot clock was down to about 7 seconds.
Now keep your eye now. Tweety Carter will guard A.J. Abrams over here in this corner. So it'll basically be 4-on-4. And ideally, that means that the floor will be a little bit more spread for Balbe's drives.
Brand, that foul is going to go against Curtis Gerald's, his first and the team's second. A.J. Abrams, nope, not there. Taken down by Geralds.
This is where Geralds is really, really good off that screen and roll, getting into the lane.
Actually on him, and James is fouled as he is crashed into by Kevin Rogers, the senior out of Victoria. So 3 fouls on the Bears very early here. 17:31 showing on the clock. They really have not been able to get anything going offensively yet. And now an offensive foul has been called against, is that Ashley? It's Ashley, his second foul. And I think we're going to see the big fella Pittman here very quickly.
Well, I think Dexter Pittman, if it were not for senior night, he would have started, and look for Rick Barnes offensively to utilize Pittman. He only plays, Ron, as you know, 3-4 minutes at a time because of the stamina issue, but he's a load inside.
Lomers comes way out for the screen, which drew Pittman out beyond the arc. Needed a road map out there, didn't he?
You're right.
Nice spin move inside, not there. Pittman rebound. Here comes Balbe. And James at the other end is fouled.
There's a good example of what Balbe does, Ron. He gets Texas out in transition with easy opportunities to score. He's got his head up, And Damian James is the recipient of a good look ahead.
That's the second foul now on Curtis Gerald. So senior night for Connor Atchley. Gets 2 quick ones, goes back to the bench. And now Curtis Gerald, who told me this morning at the shoot-around, Fran, that he had 15 tickets. He got some other people's allotment as well. And a lot of friends to see him here tonight because Del Valle is also a suburb of Austin and wanted to play really well. He's going to have to go to the bench at the 17-minute mark.
And this is what I would call an inauspicious debut. And you see the Gerald's family out in force.
So James makes it 4-0.
Couple good matchups, Ron. A.J. Abrams, Tweety Carter. A.J. Abrams really underrated defensively. And Balbay, Gerald's 2 athletes.
Left alone for 3, in and out. Wouldn't go. Pittman with his second rebound of the evening. Quick double on James. Pull up just inside the 3-point line, and Pittman, and they're going to call an offensive foul. And this happens constantly, and the guy is so big when he moves at all, they say no foul?
No foul, no. You know what happens, Ron, is I think officials have a hard time officiating Dexter Pittman because of his strength, and that time they let the little contact go.
That's an air ball. Wow.
Boy, Henry Dugat has really struggled behind the arc this year. His senior year where he's been so effective for Scott Drew.
Ball touched last by the Baylor Bears.
He's had to really work for those 17, 18 points a game.
He's not alone in that category. It's 5-second count. Doge Balbay looked at Damian James and said, I needed you to move in, but you didn't. And Tom Eads gave it the 5-second count. I think James is going to pick up the foul here. Well, 4 on the fence is what we might call the theme tonight as we keep an eye on Texas, Oklahoma State, K-State, and Texas A&M. And you look at what they have done in conference play as the first shot goes. And, Fran, it's interesting to note that in the history of the Big 12 Conference, only one 8-8 team has gone to the tournament. That was Texas A&M last year. So if you stay at the 7 mark, it simply hasn't happened. And Texas, should they lose tonight and lose Saturday against Kansas, the odds are not good of them making the big dance.
Well, a lot of it is historical perspective, Ron. I really think the basketball committee will judge all the Big 12 teams the same. And, you know, obviously there is that historical precedent, but they will look at their schedules, their body of work over the course of the season, and each of the Big 12 teams that have been on the bubble will certainly have some compelling arguments.
Ball is on the floor, picked up.
Well, you see, Dugat, that's good. Yep. He had missed 18 straight threes, and when you're not shooting the ball well from the perimeter, you got to get yourself to the line or at least to the lane.
Good play by AC, who's out of Mesquite, Texas.
See that?
Helping out.
Well, you see how they're playing A.J. Abrams once again. They're just face guarding him, and they're going to play 4-on-4 right now.
Mason got the pass inside, and he was fouled as he gave the ball fake, 6-inch ball fake that Fran talks about.
When you get the ball in close like that, all you got to do, you don't even have to bring that ball over your head. You stay down just to pump that ball up 6 inches, and that defender will fly.
That foul is against Dunn, his first. And team foul number 5.
And I mentioned this earlier in the year, Ron. Michigan State was the first team to really face guard A.J. Abrams and let everybody else play 4-on-4. And when you coach your team throughout the year, you watch film of opponents and how they defend the great players, and a lot of people have gone to school on that defense on A.J. Abrams.
Well, it didn't take Iowa State very long, did it? The opening conference game of the year, Coach Mack. did something similar. Long three off the mark. Here comes Mason. James to Balbay.
Balbay's searching for an angle to feed the big fella Pittman.
And he comes off, stays with Pittman, and a wide open lay-in for Balbay. Mason. 11-3 Longhorns. We'll be right back.
Take a look at this, Ron Franklin. You see where Carter is guarding Abrams. That means Balbay and Mason are basically playing 4-on-4, and it's supposed to be a little, I guess, box and one, but you cannot allow the dribbler to get all the way to the rim like that. That's the danger of taking away Abrams out of the offense. It's going to create some dribble opportunities for Balbay and Mason. Right now, Texas's half-court defense has been really solid. No penetration and a lot of contested jumpers.
On the run, kisses it off the glass, Tweety Carter.
And he has probably been their best player over the last part of this season, Tweety Carter, the junior from Reserve, Louisiana.
Mamadou Dieng in the ball game for the Baylor Bears, the 7-1 senior. And here's Pittman. Mamadou, they really would have liked to have used him more, but he has had so many leg problems, it's just become a habitual thing for him, Fred.
It has. He's a graduate student already. Came as part of that first recruiting class.
Nice drive to the basket. Really tough.
That's the second drive, Ron, by Dugat. As I mentioned, a really tough shooting slump. You see how they're guarding Abrams right now in that offense.
Well,
right on cue.
Put him in the box.
Put him in the box.
First 2 points for him coming at around the 13-minute mark. You know, he's not bothered by that as much as maybe at first when it started to happen. Do you think?
No, I think as we've said many times, the game doesn't come as easy to a scorer when you don't have that guy like DJ Augustine a year ago. That's a tough angle right there. But that's where Balbay gives you a little bit more dribble penetration and draw two defenders and get him open.
Third turnover against the Longhorns.
Texas is 4-2 with Doge Balbay in the lineup. More importantly, they're averaging almost 80 points a game with the sophomore from Istanbul, Turkey.
Well, Wright comes into the ball game. Number 1.
And Harrison Smith checking in, Ron. We saw just an unbelievable performance by him on Saturday, a career-high 12.
Yep, career mark for him, but he's been called for the foul. Well, tomorrow night, Super Tuesday continues with college basketball doubleheader on ESPN. First at 7, it's going to be Michigan State taking on Indiana. They can wrap up the Big Ten championship with that. Then at 9 o'clock to the SEC. And hey, that matchup, that the Iron Bowl in football is big. I don't know if it's as big in basketball or not, but it's Alabama-Auburn. Super Tuesday, presented by KFC.
Well, that'll make it big, but I can't imagine there's anything bigger than Auburn-Alabama football rivalries in November.
Gerald had an open look, couldn't get it. Wright battles for it and comes back with it.
The football player, Kendall Wright, getting an opportunity.
The crowd wanted to travel. Long three, not there. And those threes that are raining, Baylor so many times in the past has knocked them down, one right after another. Right now, the magic is not working. Coming up, our signature feature of the season
is in Lawrence, Kansas, and it's Bill Self. And you could throw John Calipari and Trent Johnson of LSU in that mix, but Kansas lost 83% of their scoring and rebounding, and that team right now is playing as well as anybody.
No question. As well as Sherrod is playing, a young man by the name of Taylor is playing just the way they thought he would. And nice inside move by Justin Mason.
And how about Cole Aldridge? He hasn't been bad either.
Well, between Sherrod and Cole, they carried the bulk of the load for a while, but the freshmen were kind of still trying to feel their way. And then all of a sudden, Taylor has gone to serve.
Yes, Tyshawn Taylor. The two Morris twins have really kind of gotten to understand what Bill Self wants out of them. Good kick. Well, there's that 6-inch shot take, by the way, and that's what happens. Well, and you know, you've heard me say many times, Blake Griffin will be the National Player of the Year and likely to be the Big 12 Player of the Year. But I got to tell you, Sharon Collins has closed that gap in the last few weeks, and you know, those are two outstanding players.
Well, that foul just a moment ago on Damian James with the 6-inch ball fake. He almost went the cheap.
You like that, don't you?
Yeah, I do. But it also, if it works, it's so very true. Gerald's fouled.
Texas foul charge to number 24, Justin Mason. That is his first.
First foul on Justin Mason.
Team foul.
So Gerald's will go to the free throw line. Still looking for his first point tonight. Got those 2 quick fouls, had to go to the bench. Lefty gets the first one. Holly Roll, let's check with you.
Well, guys, Baylor has not been shooting well down the stretch. In their last few games, they've shot just 29% from 3. Well, that was the message of Scott Drew's last huddle. He said, look, guys, we're 0 for 5 from the three-point line, 3 of 12 from the field. You guys have to penetrate. You have to go to the hole. I want you going to the hole every time. That's what we saw Gerald do right there.
Well, that's a good point, Holly, because what you want to do, Ron, when the threes aren't raining is you got to get yourself to the foul line. And they only have Rogers inside, so it's got to be Gerald's particularly going to the rim.
Inside to Pittman, reverses and scores.
Well, this guy continues to improve. You know, he's only playing about 14 minutes a game, but boy, has he become an offensive weapon.
Still plenty of time on that shot clock.
See, Henry Dugas not going to shoot that 3, not the way he slumped lately.
Almost stolen by Abrams. Left-handed pass.
Yep, see, you got to shoot the ball. I think 3 different times on that possession, the green jerseys thought a shot was going up, so everybody filtered into the 3-second lane.
And that's what they were called for, so turnover against the Baylor Bears.
One thing I like about Rick Barnes, when he's got Pittman in the game, he usually goes right at him. And his man trying to get some points inside.
Rudy Carter out front against A.J. Abrams. Chapman with a high screen. Little pick and roll. Got it back to Chapman, and he dropped it. And stolen by Balbay. Outlet pass. Mason at the other end.
Once again, that's what Balbay gives you. He's a very, very good athlete. He's got a good feel for the game. They get a steal, and he looks right up the floor.
Texas demonstrating their athleticism and also demonstrating that's what the head coach has been trying to get them to do as Gerald gets his first field goal of the night. He now has 5 points.
There's Gerald's coming in shooting 36% from 3.
This is the game's first 3-pointer.
Yeah. Look where Gerald's is, Ron. He's guarding Balbay right there, but he's playing in the lane. See, I would go inside right now to Pittman.
Mason got his man in the air. There's the 6-incher again. Henry Dugas is the one who was guilty. Picked up the foul. His first.
Take a look at this, Ron. Once Mason gets to the lane, watch that. Now, I want you to freeze it now before he brings the ball up. Right there. Now watch. 6 inches is all he needs to get the defender in the air. It's foolproof. You know, because players want to be shot blockers, even guards, so they're going to go for that fake.
Mason gets the first one.
For Baylor, number 50, Josh Lovers.
That's one thing you wouldn't You know, Justin Mason and double-figure scoring hasn't been something you said a lot this year, but he's already got 10 points.
Already got 10. Second one on the way, has 11. Did we have a lane violation? Yes, so wipe it out. He still has 10 points, 2 of 3 from the line, 4 of 4 from the field, and they've all been layups virtually.
Hey, we've done this before, Ron, but credit to Jeff Evans, the coach at Paladora High School. Austin Johnson and Justin Mason, their assist-turnover ratios are 2 of the highest in the Big 12. They really take care of the ball.
Lomer's out high with the screen, and Gerald's is blocked by Chapman. Mason to the other end. And 7 consecutive field goals by the Longhorns. Gerald's tips that one up and away. Three-pointer, can't get it, and Chapman gets the rebound. Banged into by Lomer.
Boy, Chapman's been really solid lately off the bench for Rick Barnes. Sophomore from Canby, Oregon. See, they've got to create an angle on the side, on the wing line, and throw it into the big guy. So you got to get that ball right here where you can feed it. There you go.
The cutter, foul, Bay.
And that time they brought the ball over to the foul line extended, and it made it much easier to feed Dexter Pittman in the post.
Back to the largest lead of the night by the Longhorns, 12 points.
This has been relatively methodical for Texas so far. Good solid defense. Pretty opportunistic offense.
Way outside, not there. Rebounded by Baylor and got it. Kevin Rogers, senior out of Dallas South Oak Cliff. And at the other end, guess who? Mr. Senior, A.J. Abrams.
Well, that's number 372 in his career. He's already blown up that Big 12 record set by Jeff Boschee.
Rogers, blocked by Chapman, may have been fouled by Chapman. So let's take a timeout. 7:05 left until halftime. Texas by 13.
It's a good point, Ron. Sometimes assists are overrated when you're a team with guards who love to dribble, penetrate, create their own shot. But certainly it's worthy to point out.
Rogers gets the first one.
You know, I think of that Villanova team with the 4 guards a few years ago, Randy Foy and Alan Ray and those guys. Their assist to field goal ratio was very low for the same reason. A lot of drivers.
Missed the second, hustling for the rebound, and it's going to be out of bounds, off done. So it'll be Texas basketball. And now we see Matt Hill, the 6'10 sophomore out of Lincoln, Nebraska, played at Southeast High School, into the lineup. So the 2 big young kids, Chapman and Hill.
Well, both sophomores. Watch how A.J. Abrams is going to work off those 2 big guys and utilize them, Ron, in their size if they can screen. Look at A.J. down here. He's just trying to get open. Reminds me of John Havlicek, the old Boston Celtics.
Chapman tried to jam it from way too far away.
I don't think Rick Barnes is going to mind that play at all. That's an error of omission. You want to see the big guy attack the rim like that.
That's the first miss by Texas in 10 minutes. Gerald's little crossover, strong to the basket, and then missed it. Lomers is whistled for the foul. A Wednesday night, ESPN and ESPN2 feature 2 big games. First of all, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Number 2 North Carolina faces a tough Virginia Tech team. And then at 7:30 Eastern Time, ESPN2, number 15 Marquette plays number 4 Pittsburgh. Wednesday night hoops presented by Disney Parks.
Talk about the ACC and Virginia Tech. You see what they've got to overcome. The 59 RPI. A couple of really heartbreaking losses this year on a half-court shot by Dante Jackson of Xavier, and then a buzzer beater by Trayvon Hughes of Wisconsin.
Chapman misses that free throw. Front end of a 1-and-1. So Baylor's got it back. And the ball is thrown away. Tweety Carter led him a little too much. Rogers couldn't get to it.
Yeah, see, I think you got to post Kevin Rogers inside. It's okay for him to catch that ball in the wing, but he's about 6'9", 250, and I think he could have his way inside. And you see, all of Baylor's guys are inside the three-point line except Tweety Carter.
Chapman puts it on the floor, has it blocked. That's Rogers who got a hand on it.
I like the energy that Chapman's playing with.
Gerald's tip. Balbay comes away with it. Over on the left wing is Abrams. Balbay will take it all the way and score with the left hand.
That's the Ginobili move, Ron. That's a European move. It's not a travel. But this kid is athletic. He's quick. He's strong. Take a look at this.
He can really jump.
Yep, watch this. This is a great move for the young kids at home. This is what we call the Ginobili, the sidestep. See that? Woo! This guy I'll tell you, this guy reminds me. Let's go back to the future. Now, Doug Gottlieb is nowhere near the athlete. No offense, Doug. That Doge Balbay is, but a very similar type of game. Pass first, not a great shooter. And you know, you talk about Doug Gottlieb, you know him as your friendly neighborhood radio host and college analyst. But you're looking at one of the top 10 players all time in the history of college basketball in assists. Very similar games. Pass first, get into the lane.
4 points tonight, 4 assists for the young man from Turkey.
Yep.
Now you want to know a young guy who really has fun playing basketball. He really has fun.
Yep, and he's had to wait his turn. And you remember what we talked about, Ron, early in the year, the FIBA rules internationally, 24-second clock, 35 in college, so he was playing the game too fast. He was playing with the FIBA clock in his head. Now he's got the college clock in his head. Those 11 seconds make a big difference.
Let me ask you a question. You talk about that clock that is used internationally.
Yep.
I know there's a lot of conversations been going along as that drive to the hoop is going to be missed, but he'll go to the free throw line, done. How about the possibility of a 30-second clock for the men next year? It's being kicked around, isn't it?
Well, it's talked about every year, but you know, I'm one of those guys that believes if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I agree with that.
And I like the way it is right now. You know, 35 still gives teams a chance who want to run offense to run offense. You know, the international game is more like the NBA game. It's a lot of one-on-one because the clock goes down so quickly.
Mason goes to the bench. Big round of applause for Mace as he has 10 points on the night. Second one, got it.
Darius Dunn is a scorer. Struggled a little early tonight, but he can put the ball in the hoop. And look how far off Gerald's is going to play Balbay. See, I don't like this all the time because it allows a guy like Balbay to get up ahead of steam with his dribble.
Harrison Smith, pull-up jumper, not there. And that's going to be rebounded by Gerald's. Boy, he really got off the floor. Alley-oop pass inside, and he brought it down and had it tipped away. And that was Harrison Smith. And you know who got a hand up.
You know who tipped the lob, Ron, as well was Balbay. He jumped right in the path of that lob. And then Harrison Smith knocked it loose. That's that athleticism. This young man, Balbay, could make a lot of money playing professionally in Europe right now, but he's chosen to stay here at Texas and play some college basketball.
Well, that's Baylor's first assist, by the way. And that was at least Darius Dunn with a three-pointer. So what's a 9-point ball game? Texas can't go to sleep at the wheel here. Harrison Smith launches a three. Nope. Tips the ball, gets it right back to Chapman, and he will score.
Well, there's two things about Harrison Smith. One, he's not bashful, which is not all bad, but we've seen him make some really good hustle plays, Ron.
It's helped everybody with him doing what he did on Saturday. I mean, I have a feeling Mason, you know, had a little bit more get up and go in his stride.
That's a great point. And you always like to see that guy come off the bench who's not used a lot and step up.
Rick Barnes said after the ball game on Saturday That is a moving screen by Kevin Rogers.
Well, you can't do that. We mentioned Doge Balbay. I'm telling you, this kid is an athlete. Take a look. Little Ginobili. Pretty move. I wonder if anybody's going to beat UConn this year. Gino's team with Maya Moore and the big girl Charles inside. Montgomery, a terrific backcourt player. We'll be in Lubbock, right? First 2 rounds?
Yeah. Anxious to see who all comes out to the South Plains and the women's teams who come up there.
Once again, look where A.J. Abrams, the lonely guy in that corner. And, yep, you ought to go into Pittman all night against this defense, honestly. Number one, you've got one help defender out of the way guarding Abrams. And number two, they're providing very little resistance to Dexter Pittman. You know, I always felt as a coach, Ron, if a play works, go back at it 2 or 3 more times.
That's a great motto in a lot of things, you know.
Yep.
Pittman took the ball away, but he fouled him. It's going to be his second.
Take a look at this now. There's so much room with him to operate now. You see Balbay, the little look inside, and then Quincy Acey's probably 215 pounds, and this is a total mismatch. That's the kind of defense you play at the walkthrough, and you don't want to get anybody to get hurt.
Quincy could be saying in Mesquite, I didn't see guys that big.
No.
And let's go to Holly Rowe. Holly.
Well, you know, Dexter Pittman went to the Pete Newell big man camp, and sadly it was the last Pete Newell camp. And Dexter said he was very touched when Pete Newell himself pulled him aside and said, you know, big man, I see some real potential in you. You've got beautiful hands. So he asked Dexter to come in early and work with him aside from some of the other guys. He said it was a great compliment that a man like that could see some potential in him. And Dexter said, it really gave me motivation to keep working hard.
Thanks, Holly. You know, Holly, it's an interesting thing. People take for granted, you know, the hands, but the greatest big men have the greatest hands, and you can look at Cole Aldrich at KU. Absolutely magnificent hands.
That's a great point. I think we told this story a couple weeks ago, but a couple weeks ago, Charles Barkley read a great article in USA Today written by Marilyn Garcia about Dexter Pittman and getting into shape with strength coach Todd Wright. And Charles Barkley called Rick Barnes and told him, tell the big guy I was really moved by that story. Keep working. I know how hard it is to lose all that weight. Wish him well for it.
Three-pointer not there. And Smith dribbled it off his own foot, but he was able to retrieve it. Game clock at 2:12.
It's been a quiet night for Abrams, but they really haven't needed him because Texas has really exploited Baylor inside.
Abrams got him open. Quick release, not there. And as they fight for it, it is hit, taken away. Balbay battles for it. He took it out of bounds.
Well, good hustle right there, both ways. Balbay hits the deck. Gets a hand from the official, as well as his teammate.
The Turkish four-bird.
Yeah. Yep. That's good hustle both ways. Take a look. Guys getting after it. It's always better if you dive on the floor, because if you reach down and don't dive, sometimes you're susceptible to someone rolling up on that knee. See, I'd go inside.
Three-pointer, no. And that's going to be called against Fred Ellis. Tune in for the final edition of Thursday Night. Brent Musburger, Coach Knight, and Holly Rowe will call a battle for first place at the SEC East, South Carolina, Tennessee. Also, you can log on to ESPN.com, keyword Ask Bob Knight, and pose a question to Coach Knight that may get answered on the air.
Well, I tell you,
Brandon, the promo was handed to me very quickly. The foul was called?
Well, Ellis took that shot, Ron, by AC on the foul, but Ellis is in the game. He doesn't play very much over the course of the Big 12. I don't think he's played in the last 9 games. And Scott Drew now just looking for some answers, but Hey, if you haven't seen South Carolina, they came into Baylor this year earlier and beat the Bears, and Devin Downey, one of the most exciting little point guards in college basketball. What a good year they're having. Look at that hustle.
Almost stolen. And a young fellow by the name of Darren Horn is the head coach at South Carolina. Knew him when he was playing college basketball at Western Kentucky. Then was the head basketball coach at Western.
Yes, sir.
And had an opportunity to go to the SEC and has made really well of it.
That's good, solid defense right there. You see, he didn't bite
twice. I started to say the 6 inch. Yeah, he's going to have to go 12 inches on Balbay.
Absolutely.
Yep, here comes the rebound. Smith pushes it. 59 seconds left until halftime. Texas by 12, and a timeout called by Rick Barnes.
Timeout, Texas.
Well, it's time to talk strategy, presented by Charles Schwab.
You know, Ron, we were talking about feeding the post and getting it into the big guy, Dexter Pittman. Take a look at this. And we've seen this a lot this year. Too often, freeze it right there, guys, and leave it. A pass from above the foul line extended takes the ball and takes your big guy away from the basket. You've got to bring it down a little bit more, try to break that plane. And now that pass into Pittman goes directly at him. And he does a really good job of looking to the middle of the floor right now, anticipating a double team. And you see Balbay on a little back cut there for the easy layup. Great job by Dexter Pittman, continuing to improve his game in a lot of different ways.
Before, he might have gotten in a hurry on that, maybe thrown the pass a little bit too quickly, and took his time, watched Balbay with the break, got it to him just in time.
Yep.
Pittman celebrating a birthday today on this March the 2nd, 21 years old.
You know he's going to have a little salad and grilled chicken after the game, right?
No kidding.
Come on. Sugar-free, maybe? Hey, you don't lose 80 pounds by eating Twinkies.
Hey, listen, you're exactly right. He's too proud. I told you on Saturday. It was Abrams, he said, that just drove him nuts. Would walk into the locker room with a candy bar in each hand as you look at Todd Wright.
This guy has been responsible for the development of Dexter Pittman. They have spent endless hours, Ron, as you know, and many early morning workouts with probably one of the best, if not the best, strength coach in college basketball.
Abrams back over to Chapman. Shot clock is at 6. Chapman falling away and gets the jumper.
Yep. You know, I love his aggressiveness. You know, when he missed the dunk earlier, got his shot blocked as well. You want a guy like this to continue to attack the rim.
You ask Rick Barnes and he'll tell you. He is one of the best athletes on this ball club. You just got to learn how to tunnel it and take it in the right direction.
Well, young big guys take a while. You know, Ron, it's like offensive linemen in football. You know, they're not born overnight for the most part.
Nope, that's a good analogy as well. 8 seconds, down to 7, long 3, and count it. Curtis Gerald's after getting 2 quick early fouls. That shot will go awry. Is going to go to the locker room. Is going to start the second half.
They're still face guarding A.J. Abrams.
Mason back to Balbay, plenty of time on the shot clock. James, that's well off, and taken down by Gerald.
Baylor's got to get some easy baskets in transition if they can.
Jump hook, that's short, and it was caused by a really tough defensive stance by Damian James on Kevin Rogers.
Damian James, 5 double-doubles in a row. Little foul trouble early tonight. Texas has nobody really to shoot that perimeter shot if you face guard Abrams.
Tweety Carter at the other end, and it is blocked by James. Saved by A.J. Abrams. Balbay gonna drive it, little too hard.
Boy, he didn't really need to, you know, he almost bailed out on that. He should have gone right at Bowman. picked up the foul and a chance for a three-point play.
Some really good hustle on the part of Texas by several people to keep the ball alive, and then they missed it, turned it into a 1 and out. Gerald's is fouled. Holly Rowe, let's check with you.
Well, I've already seen Baylor do a couple of the things that Coach Scott Drew told me at the half that they must do. First of all, go inside more. They did that with Kevin Rogers. He said, you know, they're pressuring our shooters, contesting every shot. They shot just 28% in that first half, so they want to go inside. That and get better penetration. What we saw Curtis Gerald just do is the formula he thinks to get back in this game.
Okay, Holly, a lot like what Fran Fraschilla said that they should do is we were talking back in the first half. Actually, he's going to have to go to the bench quickly. He just picked up his third foul.
I'm not sure that's good for Baylor because the big fella, Dexter Pittman, comes in. But it's a good point, Ron. The more you can score in the lane, the more you make that defense guard the lane. And then it'll open up your three-point shooting because you'll have less contested shots.
I know a lot of people who wish that Connor could do well. It's been a tough year on him, and for people who think that he really dropped off this year, that he's had a lot on his plate with family and just some things, and a lot of stuff on his mind. That ball touched last by Gerald's, 21 seconds on the shot clock. So, you know, you never know what's happening with a kid as far as other things that are weighing him down, and that's kind of his situation.
Well, he had such a great junior year, as you mentioned. In fact, boy, that Kansas game at home was brilliant. Made the shot against UCLA. This is where you need to go, because this guy is hard to guard, Ron.
He went from his right hand to his left, and that is 5 of 5, is that right? 5 of 5 from the floor.
You know, if he stays patient, Dexter Pittman, he will play in the NBA because he is so raw and doesn't even really know how good he's going to be.
Damian James skies for the rebound, and a travel is called on James.
And Damian James pleading his case, saying the reason I traveled is I was bumped a little bit. Mark Whitehead right on the call.
Woody Carter looks for Gerald's. He's got him right there. And Gerald's missed the layup. Here comes Doze Balbe. Pittman has it blocked, and then Pittman goes down hard. Kevin Rogers will pick up the foul. And the fans there just underneath the basket were eternally grateful that Dexter went down on the floor instead of off the court.
Watch this, Ron. Look at all that space Balbe has, but look at the big fella run the floor. You're talking 299.9. I don't want to call him a 300-pounder anymore.
No.
He's worked too hard.
He really has.
And you know he's a reliable free throw shooter. Despite that miss there, about 73% from the line. You mentioned that jump hook with the left hand.
See the sleeve on his left arm in Saturday's ball game at Oklahoma State. He went up trying to contest a shot and couldn't get his left arm down, and kind of hyperextended his elbow.
On the backboard, correct?
Yeah, on the backboard. And the team trainer, Fred Burnett, said after the ball game that actually put the sleeve on before the game was over. But he said that, you know, he had some pain there, so he's been undergoing treatment as well. So the Longhorns anywhere but healthy right now, heading into postseason play.
That's good defense right there. If you're guarding Josh Momers, with all due respect, just play behind him, make him make a move. Dexter Pittman held his ground and forced the travel. Oh. This is what I mentioned in the first half. Keep going inside to Pittman as long as he's been really hard to guard right now.
Second foul on Josh Lomers.
In order to do that, you got to get Abrams and his man away from Pittman's side of the floor. See, throw it in there.
And that's the angle that you were insistent upon in the first half about further out you take him away from the basket too much.
You get a little lower, but you got to dribble at the man guarding you if you're Mason. See, that's not a good shot. This gives Baylor a chance of transition.
38-24. 16:30 left in the ball game. Rogers with the left hand, not there. Tip wouldn't go. Lomers loses it, and it's Abrams. What a prayer by Mason. Mason looking for a foul.
I don't know why they shouldn't stop the play there. Baylor's got the ball in transition. Oh, I see why they stopped it, because Eddie Hightower got run over. Okay. See, normally you see the collision right there.
Damian James.
But you know, Ron, they were coming back the other way. And usually they don't stop. I thought they were stopping it because Pittman was down.
I'll tell you what, he is continuing to walk down to Fred Burnett, the Texas trainer. Well, they're singing happy birthday to Dexter Pittman. I got a thumbs up from Ed Hightower, the referee of our ball game tonight, as he was accidentally run into by Damian James of the Longhorns right in front of the Baylor bench. And in fact, the Baylor coaches caught him. Now let's take a look at the DiGiorno tournament resume. This for the Texas Longhorns.
Well, you see where their strength is, Ron, is 6 wins against an RPI top 50. This certainly would give them a 20-win season tonight. And they go to Kansas on Saturday, plus the Big 12 tournament. And
they're still one of the 4 on the fence, though, aren't they?
Absolutely. I don't think you can say they're definitively in, although obviously things look good for them because of the strength of the schedule. And you see all those quality wins. Oklahoma State, RPI is strong. They don't have a lot of quality out of conference wins, Siena being their biggest. Kansas State has been red hot, but they don't have a quality out of conference win. I still think that this league can get 6 teams in the tournament.
Do you really?
I do, yeah. But they have to do their job, these teams, by winning games.
There's Eddie Hightower, veteran official he's been at this a long time. Trying to watch what happens right here. Damian gets pushed by Lomers and pushed it in. We understand that it broke Eddie Hightower's whistle.
And you know, the coaches might not mind that tonight if there's one less whistle out there. But
there weren't that many fouls called in the first half.
I didn't say I minded. I just said the coaches might not mind.
Long 3 off the mark, but a push on the rebound. And that foul is going to be number 3 on Quincy Acey.
The freshman from Mesquite Horn. He's going up against both James and Pittman, 2 very physical guys.
Let me ask you a question, Hal,
sure.
And I have to plead totally ignorant on this. Do officials bring spare whistles?
I would say they do. I've never, Ron, asked an official.
I haven't either.
I would think that they need to. That pee wears out sometimes. They keep chasing Abrams around.
That's when an official knows he's calling too many fouls, when the pee in his whistle wears out. Holly Rowe, you've got more on this.
Well, after that collision, I saw Ed Hightower go over to Fred Burnett, the athletic trainer for Texas. So I thought, oh my gosh, he must be hurt. He must be asking for a knee brace or ibuprofen. So I go running back to the tunnel, and he really just sent Fred Burnett back for a piece of the whistle. I don't know why they asked the athletic trainer who handles medical issues, but apparently he had the part that was needed.
How about that?
Okay, so there you have it. Well, Holly, I'm glad you added to this discussion. Pittman rebounds that miss by Abrams. Not going to be Rogers. He is the one with the grimace on his face. Yeah, it's going to be on Kevin Rogers. They say 23.
Ron, I want you to watch Dexter Pittman on this. Watch this shot. That's the 4th foul on Rogers. Take a look. Watch how strong he is. Now watch what happens as he goes up. He's always getting hit. And oftentimes the officials will penalize him for being big.
And Abrams just went down. Watch this.
We're showing you Pittman. Now here comes Abrams. Watch him cut to the basket. A lot of collisions lately, huh?
Boy.
Big 12.
Well, I mean, seriously, concussions in college basketball. What, Duke?
Nolan Smith, Blake Griffin throwing his body. How about Blake Griffin throwing his body around on Saturday?
I couldn't believe that. We kept going back, seeing how he was playing. He had a double-double in the first half, as usual, acquitted himself very well. But when he jumped over the table, I couldn't believe it. Boy, talk about a long three. Tweety Carter. That's the first points they've scored this half in almost 5 minutes.
He's played very, very well as of late. The little guy from Istanbul. Knows Balbay, only 6 feet tall.
He got banged on the shoulder also. Yeah, he's rotating that arm as Gerald's was fouled on the floor. Will not be a shooting violation. Now, we're talking about Blake Griffin, first game back since suffering a concussion, and this happened very early. Now watch this. He just, without regard of life or limb, then he gets his nose bloodied. And they won it 78-63. He had 20 points and 18 rebounds. As the old joke goes, you should have seen the other guy. Lob inside and a quick double team as James came over from the weak side. And you would think,
well, I'll tell you what James did, Ron. If we can show that again. If he just takes his hands and goes straight to the ceiling, he's in great shape. But I think he broke that verticality plane. Take a look now. This might be a tough angle. You see how his hands are reaching in? All he needed to do is go straight to the ceiling, and Quincy Acey's not going to make that shot. There's a good look at it.
Third foul right there as Acey misses the first. Damian James will have to go to the bench. Connor Atchley comes back in.
See, if you're Damian James right there, what you want Acey to do is just make a tough shot. It's only 2 points. Instead, he fouls, and now he's got to sit.
Interesting, that graphic. You can see 2 times the district's best defensive player. Foul play, and it didn't go. That would have been highlight material for sure.
This is where you got to watch Baylor because they're really good in transition.
No, but the follow. Mamadou Dieng.
Well, Mamadou's been part of that 4-man recruiting class that really rebuilt this Baylor program, and now beat Baylor going a little 2-3 zone here. Got to shade Abrams anyway.
Chapman unlucky on the shot. Did everything but go down. Here's Gerald's nice pass ahead. Give him a beautiful assist. And Acey scored it. And Rick Barnes wants a timeout. This is an 11-point ball game all of a sudden.
And you don't want to give Baylor opportunities to score in transition. Take a look now. Get a rebound. You're off and running. Curtis Gerald's looking ahead. And this guy loves to dunk. Quincy Acey.
13:51 left in our ball game. 42-31. Texas over Baylor.
Boy, that was a tease. Now I got to watch that dunk. Thanks, Reese. I'll catch
you did too good a job, huh?
Yeah, I'll catch it on the Lake Sports Center. Little 2-3 zone again by Baylor. I think you can get Abrams a shot here. Screen that baseline.
Smith going to take a 3. Missed it. And holding on was Mamadou. Thought there for a moment it broke it into a little Texas two-step. Tomorrow night, Super Tuesday continues with a college basketball doubleheader. First, 7 o'clock, number 8, Michigan State looks to clinch the Big Ten. They'll take on Indiana. And then at 9 o'clock, the Iron Bowl down in Louisiana, Alabama. It's Auburn. And Alabama Super Tuesday is presented by KFC on ESPN. Smith back to an open Mason, and Mason misses. The tip inside wouldn't go by Smith, and here comes Baylor. Three-pointer, no.
Well, they cannot string a couple of threes back to back.
4-15, Brad, to make your point.
That's a great look.
Dugard high off the glass. I mean, really high.
You know what? He's their best athlete, Ron. He's got a 40-inch vertical. Young man from Dayton, Texas. Part of that first real recruiting class by Scott Drew. What a rebuilding job he has done.
This is a 9-2 run by the Baylor Bears, and they have it under 10.
Got to go back inside if you can. A little harder with that zone.
Mason got it.
That's one of the things. You attack that zone by dribbling into those gaps. And because there's so much attention given to A.J. Abrams, there's probably a little bit more room in there. You see how Mason is able to get into the paint and use that window.
So Mamadou Dieng picks up his second foul. Opportunity to complete a three-point play, and Mason does so. He's the game's highest scorer with 13 points.
Nice job by Dexter Pippen calling out that screen. We would have had another collision.
Dieng out high with the screen, then reversed it. And actually just picked up his fourth foul.
I don't know if the P was working that time, because that wasn't a pretty emphatic whistle. But let's take a look right now. See, now that is a foul. See, all you got to do is go straight, straight up, and actually doesn't need to come down on the shooter. What you're doing is bailing out a guy taking a tough shot.
I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate, not arguing with what you're saying. If he doesn't have possession of the ball, that's still, he's not a shooter.
Well, he's going up into the shot. Did he lose the ball?
Oh, yeah. The ball is on his chest when the contact was made.
But he still doesn't need to do that, Ron.
Yeah, okay.
He just needs to go straight up, because you're bailing out a guy that's not going to make that shot. And actually, 6'10", put your hands up, you're 7'8".
Yeah, you're right. Free throws, Baylor's only 1 of 6 this half.
See, you can really dribble into these gaps now if you just move that ball side to side.
Chapman, who was open inside. That's a good, tough shot. Yeah. He got banged.
You're right. That's a great catch, too, Ron. See, that's good defense right there. Chapman went vertical that time.
Battling for it, coming away. Mason for Texas. No look pass to Smith. And goaltending will be called. So let's take a timeout. 11:25. Goddard said arena with Madison Square. It's always been an arena.
Exactly.
Oh, but I understand that.
And you know, Villanova won tonight.
No, but I mean, in New York, that's the way it's pronounced.
Yeah, exactly.
The arena. Dugat holds up, has to sky that one because of the big fella, Dexter Pittman.
That big fella next year will be a senior, and he's going to continue to get better.
Fran, don't you think that if he improves as much between now and next year as he did this time, last year and now,
he's going to be a very, very good player. Absolutely.
Holly Road, let's check in with you again.
Well, I'm with A.J. Abrams' dad, Andy, and Andy, he was just a skinny kid from Round Rock. How would you describe the career he's had with Texas?
It's been incredible. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. He's come out and really proved a lot of people wrong. He proved himself right in his belief. But it's been an awesome career here for him at the University of Texas. He's had a great career.
He held so many records. He broke the career record for games played here, pointers made here. What kind of work, though, did he have to put in behind the scenes to get those records?
Hey, that's all day, every day, actually. He doesn't miss a day in the gym. He's going to go in and put his work in. Our promise to each other was we're going to outwork everybody in the country, and he continues to have that part of his deal. So he's a hard worker. His ethics are great. He's going to be one of these kids. He's a gym rat. He's going to be in the gym as much as he can.
I asked him how he wanted to be remembered, and he said it was for being an all-around player, playing offense and defense. How would you like him to be remembered?
Exactly that. He's a full package. You know, we talk about being a full package guard. He can shoot the ball, he can handle the ball, he can play defense. Everybody talks about his size, but they don't know how big his heart beats in his chest. That's the thing.
Guys, you may not remember this, but I asked Rick Barnes, AJ's about 160, and I said, how did you recruit such a skinny kid? And they said, well, look at his dad. We always thought he'd fill out. Well, he never filled out, but boy, has he broken a lot of records.
Tough play by Harrison Smith, who continues to improve.
And a nice look by Justin Mason, too, Ron.
And you got another look at Andy right there standing up. He is a very large man. He worked with special services with the state of Texas, being one of the personal guards for Ann Richards, a couple of governors, in fact. And it was his father who suggested to teach him how to shoot over tall people. A broom was introduced to the workout, and what he would do, he would stand in the driveway with a broom and try to intimidate AJ with it, and he'd have to shoot over.
I think the point that should be made about AJ Abrams, and his dad mentioned it, there aren't very many tougher players in the country.
No, you're right.
To be that size and take the punishment he does. Of course, he wears number 3 because of the guy that he emulated, Allen Iverson, who has for years taken as much punishment getting into the lane. And he's also, as you know, has become a really good defender.
In fact, he doesn't get enough credit for that. Is the sleeve because of an injury or because of Iverson?
I think it's because of an injury. But,
okay.
It goes with the uniform, the orange and white. And I've mentioned this during the season. The way he has had to score this year with the focal point of teams' defenses on him has not been easy. He's earned every basket this season. You can tell by tonight the way Baylor has tried to take him out of that offense, but it's been to no avail.
Well, Gerald's is the first Baylor player in double figures. He is at 10.
See Abrams just hanging around on that baseline.
You see him cut between the two big guys.
Yep.
Like ducking through the woods in one of those games you used to play as a kid. Mason. Nope. Rebounded by Kevin Rogers. Kevin doing a good job of maintaining, continuing to play with 4 fouls. Bouncer inside, Lomers, and with Pittman on him, scores right over the top.
And if you're Rick Barnes, you're okay with that. You know what? Good move by Lomers. Make him make another. Pittman went straight to the ceiling, and give Lomers credit. Good, solid move.
Well, Smith going to take a 3. That one barely drew iron, but he got the long rebound, and he's going to go to the free throw line. Wednesday night, ESPN and ESPN2 featured 2 big games. First at 7 o'clock Eastern. This is on ESPN. Brand number 2 North Carolina taking on a very stubborn Virginia Tech team. And also at 7:30 on ESPN2, it is Marquette up against number 4 Pitt. And, of course, Wednesday Night Hoops is presented by Disney Parks on ESPN and ESPN2.
Marquette playing without Dominique James. We wish him our best. And see some bubble teams right now. The RPIs are high. A lot of this is going to be dependent. Notre Dame really hurt themselves tonight, Ron. Georgetown's going to have a chance to get 2 wins this week. But I've always said, you've heard me say this, the season's not over at the end of the regular season. So much can happen in conference tournaments. Picking up a couple of key wins that people don't really account for. Providence is in that situation. They need to have a good tournament run.
Maybe the best example of what you're talking about, the year that Jim Valvano's NC State team won the national championship, they weren't even going to the dance, I don't think, if they had not won the ACC tournament. So France Point is super well taken. A lot of things can turn around for you. 1-1, and he swishes the first one. Lacedarius Dunn out of Monroe, Louisiana. And at Excelsior Christian School.
And the first McDonald's All-American to ever sign and play at Baylor. And they've had a great history, Ron. You think of guys like Terry Teagle and Vinnie Johnson, Michael Williams. Hey, Michael Williams is a construction company up in Dallas. And you talk about a guy who parlayed a great NBA career into the business world. Kudos to Big Mike.
Well, Pittman missed, short-armed it, and then he was fouled. And Lomers just picked up the foul. Well, let's do. We did this last year. A blind resume.
Yep. Now you see both RPIs high. One thing you want to look for is where your top 50 wins come from. Conference records obviously somewhat important. Although the unbalanced schedule really skewers that conference resume a little bit.
We'll show you after this shot as Pittman makes it. Okay, who are the teams?
Providence and Kansas State. We mentioned Providence. A recent big win over Pittsburgh last week, but only a RPI of 68. Syracuse is the other big win for them. And Kansas State now, they got to go to Oklahoma State tomorrow night, and that's a big game for both teams.
It's Harrison Smith who is called for the foul. It's his third.
We
mentioned Kansas State. Frank Martin has done a terrific job this year. They've won 8 out of their last 11 Big 12 games. Key losses will hurt them. Losses to Iowa and Oregon will hurt, but they still have some work to do.
Well, Harrison Smith, who is getting a lot more playing time in these late games, goes out of the game with his third foul. Good round of applause from the fans. They appreciate his hustle as Baylor comes back in.
Well, you know, as a coach, when you have a guy that you haven't called his number on very often early in the year, and then he responds when you give him the opportunity, you love that because you're always telling those guys at the end of your bench, hang in there and keep working. And if you get your opportunity, take advantage of it. And Harrison Smith has. And he's part of that junior class. You look at Damian James, Dexter Pittman, a guy named Kevin Durant was part of that class. Look at that, Ron. Keep getting him the ball. That's the motto now. Keep feeding the big guy.
He's got 14 points. Gerald's way outside, missed it, and Pittman gathered the rebound, and down really hard was Damian James. I'll tell you about the last 4 or 5 games, because we've done so many Texan games recently. Damian has spent a lot of time on the hardwood.
Well, he's spent a lot of time in the air, too, because he's got 5 straight double-doubles.
Yeah, that's right. He's double-double crazy. You know, in fact, Saturday, with the double-double, that was a career-high 18 rebounds in that ballgame against Oklahoma State.
Well, the frustrating thing for Baylor now, they've lost 23 straight to their in-state rival, right down 35. Interstate 35. It doesn't diminish the great job that Scott Drew has done. This program was as low as you could go 5 years ago, Ron. NCAA probation, the tragedy of a player that was murdered, but what an unbelievable turnaround. NCAA tournament a year ago, likely headed to the NIT this year if they don't make some noise in the Big 12 tournament.
And you made a good point today, visiting with some of the Baylor administrative people and also players, and we've got a foul away from that. It's going to be on Dunn.
There's a lane violation on Baylor.
Lane violation.
Damian James.
Okay, that was undone. No foul. But James gets another opportunity. But the point that you were making, 5 years ago, would you have thought you would have won 17 ball games? And every one of them said no, and, you know, we're not unhappy about that.
Well, you said 5 years ago, hey, an NCAA and NIT back-to-back. I think they've only been to back-to-back postseasons. I think Scott Drew told me one other time in their history. They've got some good young players coming in this program.
Dunn missed it. James came away, and Baylor had the ball blocked. It'll stay with Texas with 27 seconds on the shot clock. 8:07 to play. Longhorns 59-42.
Baylor's got some really good young players coming in, and then Epe Udoh, the transfer from Michigan, Ron, who played high school basketball with Obi Manello at Oklahoma State. He is a force inside.
When we went to Waco before the Kansas game on Big Monday, we got to watch him work out some. He's really a great-looking kid. Yep. James had a hand in the face and still scored it.
You know what's interesting for Texas? Both James and James with 7 and Abrams have been pretty quiet tonight, Ron. But Texas has gotten some really good performances from guys like Pittman and Baylor.
Bay picks up the foul.
Down the stretch, 18 of their last 20 over the last 8 minutes of that ball game, Ron. Quiet night for A.J. Hadn't really had to do much. Baylor's tried to take him out of the game, but it's really opened it up for the big fella, Dexter Pittman, inside.
I don't think that the personal stuff is that huge to him at this juncture, because we did the ball game on Saturday up in Oklahoma State, and there were a lot of heartbroken guys. As you look at Jay Lucas, and he's the heir apparent.
Seemingly, yep. Jay Lucas, who played his freshman year at Florida for Billy Donovan. He averaged just a shade under 10, and Avery Bradley, a terrific freshman guard, will be joining Jay Lucas and Justin Mason, Valbay next year. And you see Jay, the son of John Lucas, of course, the #1 pick in the 1976 NBA draft out of Maryland. And of course, we enjoyed John III so many nights in Big 12 play right up in Oklahoma State.
I knew their dad when he came out of Maryland and played for the Rockets, and was a super tennis player also. Sitting to his left is Gary Johnson, normally a starter in this ball club, that injured ankle. This is the 3rd game that he has missed. And if you pull back and look to his right, Lexi Wanmani, who played last year with some pretty good minutes, injured a knee, and if he gets another year, which I think he will. Look, I keep saying Mac Brown's going to come in and try to steal him. He looks like a left tackle to me. He is a large human being.
His guardian.
He's got 3 years left if he gets medical.
Yeah, he's a big guy, really athletic.
Lomers, nice dish right there. Who was that? Tweety Carter, I think.
Yep, got to the rim, and Lomers, young man from, how do you say that, Bern, Texas?
Bernie,
Texas, right outside of San Antonio. I know my Central Texas, or am I off on that?
Well, that's close enough.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's Central Texas. Well, tomorrow night, Super Tuesday continues. First at 7 o'clock Eastern. Number 8, Michigan State looks to wrap it up in the Big Ten Conference. They will take on Indiana. And then it's Alabama and Auburn at 9 Eastern in the Iron Bowl. Super Tuesday presented by KFC on ESPN.
Well, rough going for the Hoosiers this year, but I think everybody in the Big Ten.
He'll get that right.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I think everybody in that league, Ron, knows what's about to happen with that Indiana program.
Now let's do another blind resume. Who do you think these two teams are?
Okay, again, I'm big on the RPI top 50 wins, Ron, because that's a good indicator of teams that are likely to be in the NCAA tournament. And the RPI is a little higher than that RPI on the right, so we'll keep people viewing in suspense until we get a dead ball.
Abrams now with 10 points. Next thing you know, you could be promising prizes. That's a long three-pointer by at least Darius Dunn. Makes it 62-49. 6.5 minutes to play. Mason unlucky on that shot, and it'll be James who will take it back up and score, and that might be it for Lomers. Yep, that's it. Number 5.
Well, dribble penetration has been an Achilles heel for this Baylor defense all season long. You see Mason, how easy he gets to the rim, and that draws traffic, allows Damian James to rebound on that backside. I've made that point a couple times, Ron, since Rick Barnes has gone to the smaller lineup inserting Valbay. James goes back to power forward, where he not only can use his muscle, but his quickness as well against guys like Lomers.
Well, that means that number 23, Kevin Rogers, will come back on the floor. Kevin out of Dallas South Oak Cliff, playing with 4 fouls, so he's got to be careful. You see James getting close to another double-double. Misses the free throw, though, and Rogers is the man who grabs it away. But he's still got just over 6 minutes. Gerald's. And the runner by Dugat wouldn't go. James rebounds.
Now, there's a good opportunity right now for Texas to run some clock.
James at 9 and 9. The lob inside to Pittman. Nice pass. Nothing that Rogers could do, particularly with the 4 fouls he's playing with. So that was a smart play by James.
Big Dex has 16 points.
Rogers, oh my goodness. He made a great athletic move, and on the reversal spun it just a little bit too much.
Think back to that Missouri game, Ron, when Dexter Pittman had 25 points in only 23 minutes. He is very, very hard to guard in there because of that size and strength. You know, Abrams has played at a great pace tonight, hadn't he? Hadn't forced anything.
He really hasn't.
Yep. Senior night, he scored so many big baskets.
I'll tell you what, he's almost downtown Austin on Abbott. Shot it from 6th Street. Bounce pass ahead. Done and had it. Knocked away. Stolen by Abrams. And then he was out of bounds when he threw the pass back.
You know what? He's allowed to jump back inbounds. He made a great play right there. And if you inadvertently go out of bounds, you can be the first guy to touch it. Watch this now. It's tough. Yep. See, if he jumps back and has both feet in bounds, he can make that play. But official's right on it. He stepped on the line.
Under 5 minutes. Done.
Pretty. He's showing us more than just that long-range jumper. Actually, a set shot, a 3-point set shot. Good drive by Dunn. I think Dunn's got a chance to be a star next year, Ron. With Dugat and Gerald's leaving, he'll be more the focal point of the perimeter attack.
I agree with you.
I think sometimes the way this Baylor team has been built, there's so many guards, it's hard to really get everybody involved. Next season it'll be a different situation, but you go inside.
About to go under 4 minutes to play. Mason, 5 seconds on the shot clock. Pumps it. Ashley gets his first 2. And the crowd really reacts. He's a popular young man. They'd like to see him do well.
And good patience by Justin Mason. We mentioned that really good assist-turnover ratio. That's the sign of a high IQ ball handler right there. See, he didn't bite on that 6-inch shot fake. He stayed on the ground. And you can do that when you're 6'10".
Crossover, that's a great move by Gerald. Wow.
Now that's a little different. Trying to guard that dribble drive is a little harder for Ashley.
Well, let's look at this crossover. We're gonna stay right here.
We'll take a look. Now he backs him up. He didn't bite on that shot fake in the 3, but obviously he's got the foot quickness to get by Ashley. Nobody rotates over. Nice move.
Now let's go back to that blind resume we had just a moment ago. Who are these two teams? We ask it. Think about it.
All right, I'm going to say, well, we don't know who's in yet, but we'll just take a look and see which teams they are. Oklahoma State. Penn State's had some big wins this season. 5 wins over the RPI top 50. Oklahoma State, yep.
31 on the RPI.
And that's really in large part, Ron, because of their strength of schedule. The complaint with Oklahoma State is they didn't have a key win until Saturday, beating Texas at home.
Well, here's a reminder coming up next. It is Sports Center. The new number 1, Bob Knight, reveals how to stop the Huskies. And the top 2 scorers in the NBA go head-to-head. You don't miss the thrilling highlights on this one. And find out which star receiver has found a new home.
I got to see that dunk that Reese Davis was talking about. You say LeBron James and spectacular dunk in the same sentence, it's going to get people to tune in.
3.5 minutes remaining. Longhorns 68-53. Ashley out high with the screen. Abrams tosses it right back to him. Texas playing extremely deliberate right here. And that ball, he is fouled as Tweety Carter gets a hand in.
Well, it may be senior night, Ron Franklin. And
Big 12, only one 8-8 team has made it to the tournament. That was A&M last year. But 9 and 7 teams have gone 11 out of 13 times.
And there is a reasonable chance that we could have 4 9-7 teams by the end of the regular season. Texas really needed this win tonight, Ron, and I'm not a rocket scientist, but I think a win at home based on their resume, this will really, I think, solidify them. And obviously the Big 12 tournament comes up soon. And you see what can happen in NCAA play. 29 teams have finished 10-6 or 9-7. And the vast majority of those teams have gotten into the NCAA tournament.
You know, still for as young as this league is, to have averaged 5 teams a year is, I think, impressive, Fran, don't you?
Well, it has. And you know the other thing, this league has borne out to be a little better than people expected. It may not be as good as the Big East or the ACC this year, but I think it certainly is among the top 3 or 4, without a doubt. Right now, if you're
Kevin Rogers.
Yep, you want to finish out this game without a lot of sloppiness. Good effort by the Baylor Bears.
We got one more blind resume. See if you can figure out who these two clubs are. 19-10, 21-8. You see what they did in conference play. One of them, the one on the right, 35 of the RPI in the last 4 games undefeated.
Playing well, yep. And 21 wins already. And Texas A&M, who has wins already over Arizona, LSU, a good LSU club that we've seen this year, Alabama. And they've got a big one. They've got a couple big ones this week, but they close out Saturday in College Station. We'll see Missouri come to town. And coming off that thrashing by Kansas yesterday. Missouri, Ron, has Oklahoma at home and A&M on the road this week. They've got a big week as well.
Well, there's the tournament resume on the Aggies. And as Fran said, we will see them Saturday afternoon at home against Missouri. And talk about an important ball game. Well, they're one of the 4 teams on the fence as we have described them tonight.
You know, if you're in that position, you just want to keep winning games.
I'll tell you, one of the real heroes for that A&M ball club is a young fellow by the name of Chinamalu Ilanu.
He's one of the most improved big men in the league, without a doubt. You know, Josh Carter coming off 29 points against Iowa State on Saturday.
That's going to be Gerald's. Don't forget SportsCenter coming up next, immediately following our ball game. 2:22 we have left in regulation.
You know, I've made this point to you on a number of occasions through the years, and I'm an East Coast guy, as you know. But the East Coast media, I mean, you need to put a gun to their head to come out and see Kevin Durant or Michael Beasley or Blake Griffin this year. Yeah, and you know, one of those prominent guys was really upset because the only trip he made out to the Great Plains this year was the Kansas game when Blake Griffin sat out. And I think this league, you know, I'm not shilling now, but I've seen a lot of Big East basketball, most of the good teams in the country. This has been a very solid, underrated league this season. There's absolutely no doubt about that.
Gerald's couldn't get it, missed the tip, but as they battle inside, James comes away with it.
That it? Double-double?
He still needs one more point.
Okay. 5 double-doubles in a row for Damian James. 13.
He's got 11 rebounds. You should holler and say, Damian, you need another point.
I think that's the furthest thing on his mind.
I know you're right.
Yep. Hey, kudos again to Kansas and the job Bill Self is doing. Boy, I'll tell you, they are really going to be interesting to watch in the NCAA tournament.
That ball was kicked.
That might be a reset.
So they reset it to 15.
Well, there's my Big 12 franchise, Ron. To me, right now, the 5 most important players in the league, and there's guys like Willie Warren that could be on that list. James Anderson.
James off the mark, and that went off of Abrams, so it'll be long to Baylor. 71-55, 1:41 on the clock.
Right now is when A.J. Abrams is going to come out of this ball game for his last home game.
Tie ball is called. Possession error says it'll stay right where it is in this end. Back to the all Big 12 franchise.
Well, DeMarais Carroll has been a big factor in Missouri's resurgence, and Cole Aldridge, Ron, we keep talking about how much he's improved. And those two upperclassmen, like actually Aldridge not even an upperclassman yet, but the two veterans of Bill Self's team have been really important.
Kevin Rogers.
Of course, we've seen Corey Higgins from Colorado, and I mentioned James Anderson from Oklahoma State's had a really good year.
He's really come on for them also is Moses. Yeah. Marshall Moses on Saturday had 7 or 9 of the first 11 points that they scored. He in the game that Oklahoma State played down in Austin, I think, where they had 2 points in the paint.
And big guys, yeah.
And they had like 20 on Saturday.
That's been a fun team to watch. I don't know how you feel about it, but they've been fun to watch. The small team running up and down, shooting threes. You know what, Ron? Kudos now as Kevin Rogers will play his last game in here. Those 3 seniors, you have to remember, they came to this program when it was absolutely as close to the death penalty, I think, as you could get a college basketball program.
Yeah.
And they're struggled. They're 17 and 12 now, but for those guys to resurrect this program, kudos to those guys. And throw Mamadou Dieng in there as well.
Abrams, defensive stopper. Got the ball deflected. Under a minute. The crowd is now standing, and everybody waiting for the next stoppage in play to watch A.J. come out of the ball game.
Well, they're going to let Damian James go one-on-one against Rogers. So Rogers is going to get down in that stance.
Damian. Is he going to go to the free throw line? Yes, he'll have an opportunity. Okay, he picked up his 4th foul. They did call an offensive foul.
Yeah, he's got a smile on his face. Coach, you want me to run the point? Okay.
You want me to run tailback is what it looked like. Ashley comes out. Final time here at the Irwin Special Events Center. And a look, there's Connor's parents. And Abrams, he'll come out on the next whistle. Gerald's no. Tipped up. James can't get it. Goes Balbay. Gets it off to Mason.
They're going to call timeout, I think.
Yep, they're going to call a timeout. And
For the Horns, number 34, Dexter Pittman.
Abrams comes out, and look at the standing ovation.
Yeah, that's the 7th all-time leading scorer in the Big 12 Conference. Number 5 in the history of Texas basketball. And someone's going to have to work really hard to get up to those 372 threes that he's made in his career. Yep.
Wow.
He's played with great players like Durant, DJ Augustine, and he's been a great player himself.
3 seconds down to 2, and the Texas Longhorns are going to